Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies?
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Perhaps it's time to approach the question of UFOs again. For we can only hope that if we are being studied by aliens, it is with more thoroughness and care than we have focused on them.
Dr. Viviani, what do you think of that Leonard Nimoy comment?
Yeah, forget the report that just came out. Let's talk about Mr.
I go back
Spock.
to Nimoy. I was waiting for the Star Trek reference to come into here. So
we were so into this thing, and then
now you've got a minute to talk about it. Go. There we go. We're back on Everything Old is New again. Once again, we're visiting with Dr. John Viviani, ufologist extraordinaire. We've got young David Cohen, who's the inquisitive and skeptical. I would say, are you skeptical?
I'm playing the part of the audience, yeah.
You are the skeptical and inquisitive individual here. Do you realize that it's been 8 months since we've talked about UFOs?
You know, it feels like just yesterday, but okay.
We have the Everything Old is New Again Rogues Gallery here, ready, raring to go. The UFO affiliate. What would you say? He is the only ufologist who has appeared on our show. And the only one that will ever appear. Now, for what reason is
he's also the only one we know.
I was going to say the reason is a different story. But Dr. Viviani, welcome. We're ready to talk about the latest developments in the UFO world. 2017, let's say. We just are in 18, but let's talk about 2017. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm a UFO aficionado.
That's right. He's a aficionado.
Not a ufologist?
Well, no, they do the research. Those people do the research. I'm more of I follow it.
I see. Okay.
All right. So you follow up on the research.
Can we get a ufologist on the show?
Yeah. When can we make an appointment with the hygienist next week? The week after? When at the back of the office?
We basically got a UFO hygienist.
It's
really what it comes down to. We don't have the doctor.
During lunchtime, they're on the computer. She's the ufologist doing all the research, presenting to the doctor with the X-rays. You got the X-rays of the teeth.
We get the point.
Okay.
Yes. Let's
so
move
now,
on.
I want to talk about, there was a release in December of 2017, December 16th to be exact, by the United States government. They released a video and an audio of a UFO chase by a Navy F-18. And so, as far as I'm concerned, the F-18 from the UFO if you look at that, you can see. I mean, you've seen this video. You can see in the crosshairs they have what appears to, we'll call it a UFO. It's a ship that does not look like anything that's flying today. And let's hear a little bit from the actual pilot themselves. Listen to this, and then we'll discuss.
The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, identify those things that we see and try to ascertain and determine if that information is a potential threat to national security. We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, and maneuvering in ways that include extreme maneuverability beyond, I would submit, the healthy G-forces of a human or anything biological, hypersonic velocities, positive lift, again, seemingly defying the laws of aerodynamics. These aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of. My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
Now that, just be clear who that was first. That's Luis Elizondo. He was on CNN. He is from the Pentagon UFO program. It's called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Program. It was funded at the rate of $22 million in 2012 by the U.S. government and ran until November 2017. No one was supposed to know about this. Blue Book was out, and that was in the 70s and the 60s, and supposedly there was no other funding. That's it. All of a sudden, this exists. That was the head of this. He's summarizing his findings, saying, you know what? We may not be alone. Doctor?
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
Doctor, is that what you heard also?
That's what I just heard. But no, it was. I don't think they were supposed to. Well, there is a theory that they're leaking this information slowly but surely. There'll be more as part of what they call disclosure. That they're going to finally admit that we don't know what's happening and we may have had contact, and so a lot of people.
Well, now, what do you think of the idea? We've been searching and searching for someone to give us some credibility, an individual that has substance and has some what we call facts behind his statement, some gravitas. Besides yourself, now we finally have Luis Elizondo, and I think that's incredible. Go ahead.
No, because a lot you're going to see a lot of these witnesses were Air Force pilots, not just for this case, but many others.
Now let's look at this case in particular because it's the most recent one. It was just released again in 2017, in December 16th. But you're telling me now this is an audio and video of the pilots. I guess you call it the window, what they're looking at and what they see. And you can see this on YouTube. It's everywhere. Again, the Navy F-18 Super Hornet. The question is, first of all, have you seen this video?
Yes, I have.
You'll now hear a little bit of the commentary of the pilots talking, and then I'll ask you to interpret that for the general audience.
Oh my gosh. We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. That's not LNS, though, is it? It's not. I don't understand. But if there's a thing.
Now, these are pilots, correct?
Correct.
And they're talking to each other while flying around?
Correct.
Yeah, well, they were flying.
I'll answer on Dr. Viviani's behalf.
Yeah, they seem to be baffled as to what it is, and more importantly, impressed on what it can do aerodynamically.
And what are we seeing? Like we're on radio.
Okay, so
what are they seeing?
Like a triangular disc that's hovering, and then it sort of rotates itself, twists, and then. Apparently not, and then after that video, it also does a right angle move that defies G-forces for us, and then disappears. But it has no wings. They don't know how it's hovering. They don't see any exhaust. They don't know how the thing's moving or even what it is.
And it's also moving the same speed as the video that's being taken from the aircraft, right?
Right, it's not getting bigger or smaller. It's
no, I asked the doctor, right? Isn't that right, doctor?
Correct.
Okay.
I believe, though, it does, after the video, I think it accelerates and moves out of frame.
You think or you know?
I think.
Well, I just want to go on what we know because this is a factual. This is now. Let's back up. It blows my mind because this has been developing over the last 4 years. Everything old is new again, and I think as a result of what we're doing, our investigatory procedures are coming up with some results. CNN is taking notice. This was on CNN everywhere. Am I wrong?
No,
Every
you're
show
not wrong.
on CNN had this. Bob Lemon, whatever his name is, all these people, right?
Bob Lemon, that's
Don
Yankee
Lemon,
manager.
whatever. Yeah.
It's been on CNN, but the lady who wrote the book is. Do you have quotes from her?
I have her. She's coming up. Don't worry.
She's been all over she's been all over the press as well.
Yes, and so CNN is carrying this now. Has anybody else followed this? Have we seen it anywhere else?
I've seen it on nightly news.
Yeah, it's been all over.
Mentioned. Sure.
So what are we making of this now? Are we now breaking through? Are we to the point where the general public is to what? Oh no! Evaluate themselves.
I think the general public's ready to hear it, but the broadcasters or the media, they're still they play these weird Twilight Zone music, and they call it this little green man, or they they show an ET clip. So they're taking it semi-seriously.
They're very condescending, though. Let's be honest.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, is there going to be any disclosure publicly about what happened in that 5-year study?
Good question. Here's the idea. This fellow, Luis Elizondo, has gone on to say, and you heard it in that clip, that he believes we're not alone, based on his evidence summarizing the 5-year program. But then he says, I'm not talking for the government, I'm just talking for myself. So my question is, if he's just talking for himself, who is who is the spokesperson for this organization which no longer exists?
Right.
Well, I don't think they're
all of a sudden it disappears.
I don't think they're willing to come out officially. I think it was just like a money trail, and they said, where's this money going to? And they stumbled across the program, and then they had to admit, maybe somebody leaked something. I don't think they wanted to come out and say, here's a legitimate program, and here are our findings. That's not what's happening.
Here's a better question. Where was Luis Elizondo from 2012 to November 2017 while he was working for this Advanced Aerospace Threat Program? Why was there never a release of any information to the general
That's what
public
I mean.
of what they found officially?
No, there isn't.
I want to know why.
Because the people are more concerned with the money trail. Like, Harry Reid got this money and gave it to his friend. First of all, it was $22 million over, I think, 4 or 5 years. With government spending, that's nothing.
Right.
So, but how do we know it wasn't a bunch of guys just going to Bermuda all the time? You know what I mean? That it was really a real
So it is a
study.
question. Why don't we get the study results?
Maybe there wasn't any study.
Listen, I paid for that, you paid for that, and you paid for that. And everybody listening to this program paid for
I
that
opted
program.
out of that. You didn't
opt out? I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
No, I want to opt in. I want my information. I want to report on my desk in the morning. I'll be back. Everything goes do again. Right after this, we got to continue our investigation and figure out what's going on here with the UFOs. Come on.
Did you see that they were storing alloys? Did you?
Yes, it's coming up. I got it.
Right.
I got it.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
95% of all UFO sightings can be immediately identified as the planet Venus, weather balloons, weather anomalies, swamp gas, you name it, we've got it nailed. It's the 5% that give you the willies. 5% remain totally unexplained. And we're talking about generals, we're talking about Air Force pilots, we're talking about governors of states that claim that, hey, this is beyond our understanding of the laws of physics.
All right, that was Mishu Keiku, Dr. Mishu Keiku. We're here on Everything Old is New Again. It seems to me like everyone that's involved in the UFO field that has any bit of credibility has the initials DR before their name. We're here with Dr. John Viviani, ufologist extraordinaire, who is continuing his discussion.
He's saying he's not a ufologist.
Well, I'll take it.
He's a ufologist. What am I supposed to say? What are you
Aficionado.
Aficionado is not as good as a ufologist.
Okay.
Ufologist has got much more credibility.
Fine.
The aficionado is just someone that think, I like it, I follow it.
That's like Felix Unger and the Sophisticados.
Right. I mean, aficionado would be just somebody that just follows it, that has a practice of dentistry and on their own, that has other things that they're doing, and they just once in a while watch a video. You're not that person.
No, correct. I'm out there in the field.
Exactly. Doing some field work.
He has people working the field.
Yeah, and he reads the books and he watches the videos and all. He's got a lot of free time. So here's the idea. Leslie Keane has released, I'm going to call it a book, but it's more of a pamphlet.
A book.
Okay. UFOs, it's called Generals, Pilots, and the Government Officials Go on the Record. All right? It's a modern-day government, our modern-day government is looking into the UFOs and even built facilities to house unknown alloys that have been found. Let's listen to that first. It's an interview from December 19th, 2017 on CNN with Leslie Keane, who is not an aficionado. She is someone that is just a reporter, a journalist. So she has no stake in this, allegedly, other than selling this book. Well, let's see what we got.
I think the most important thing about the story is the fact that it is now documented, and the Pentagon has acknowledged that the department has been involved in investigating these unidentified aerial phenomena for quite a while. We've been told from sources that are absolutely reliable that in fact these materials do exist, but we don't know where they are, we don't know who's been working with them, we just know that they exist, and that's something that we want to find out more about. This program is dealing with high-level military pilots and people that are highly trained.
High-level people, highly trained observers. And what conclusion are they coming to? At least what information are they presenting to us, Doctor?
That they don't know how this craft is flying.
Well said.
No, they just don't know. But it baffles them, and it's not a weather balloon. It's not swamp gas like they always used to say. It's a hovering object that moved.
Point. And we're talking about U.S. government officials or employees or pilots that are coming out from this or in this book, but also from this organization, right?
Yes, it's government. That's what makes it very credible. It's Air Force pilots or Navy pilots, highly trained that are. Well, I don't know if they knew that this was going to be released when they said it, but it's fact.
Well, this is my problem. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Program should have released information to the general public. We're paying for this program. They have not released any information whatsoever officially as to what's going on.
No.
Now, all of a sudden, this woman writes a book. What is she doing? She's interviewing these people that have retired, or are they still in the government? I guess it's a combination, right?
I haven't read the book, but I don't. Yeah,
that's not something we. I got to cut that out because that's not something that we.
Kind of took all the air out of the room, right?
No, I know the essence of the book.
Just
but
say, you'll go back to square one. Just say Leslie Keene is writing this book, and she is interviewing people that are in and not in our government at this point. But if they're not in the government, they have at least been in the government.
Well, but the program no longer exists. So now they're talking about it.
All right,
but they're not giving specifics of what the program found. They're only admitting that there was a program, and they want to find, what.
Now, why doesn't this program exist anymore is another question. Did they find out too much? Is there another program that took its place?
That we also don't know about?
Correct. This is what I'm saying to you.
There's a lot going on that we don't know about. I think somebody leaked something.
This is like a smoking gun. If you pull up that boulder, you're going to see a lot of scurrying.
I believe you're going to find in the coming months and years more stories like this one, and finally they're going to say, okay, we admit it.
They're at least looking for it. The U.S. government in the last 5 years has been looking for UFOs.
I think they found them.
And why are they looking, by the way? Do you know the story?
No.
They're saying to themselves, there's technology out there.
They think it's from they want to make sure it's not from other countries who have better technology than us for the safety of our skies. That's number one. And then when they realize that they don't think any country on Earth has the capability of what is seen in this video, then you say, okay, well, then what is it? But first and foremost, the program was to protect our skies against.
That's why we have the doctor on. That's why. He gives us those concise, exact answers to the questions that we're looking for. That's why I want confirmation of this. I tell you the truth, want to hear from the horse's mouth. I want to hear from Commander David Fravor. Odd name. We think it's a fake name?
I think we actually have him on the phone now.
We do. A U.S. pilot from the UFO F-18 Carrier Strike Force 11. He's the one that encountered the UFO that you're seeing on YouTube as we speak. If you tune it in, let's hear what he has to say.
Well, the first thing is it had no wings, so you think, okay, it's a helicopter. Well, there's no rotor wash in the water. There's no rotors. And when helicopters move side to side, they kind of slow, and then they pick up speed going the other way. This was extremely abrupt, like a ping pong ball bouncing off a wall. It would hit and go the other way and change directions at will. And then the ability to hover over the water and then start a vertical climb from basically zero up towards about 12,000 feet and then accelerate in less than 2 seconds and disappear is something I had never seen in my life.
All right, Doctor, have you heard that before? Is it information you've heard already? You know this information. You know this gentleman. Now, what is he saying? What is he saying to interpret that?
He is saying in layman's terms that what he's seeing cannot be done by human technology.
No, he's flying. He's a pilot. He flies the most advanced machine. I don't know how much
Well, think about what he's saying.
But he's flying a huge technological
Think about what he's saying, the
there.
ping pong ball analogy. This craft was making maneuvers with sharp right turns, stopping, starting, and then accelerating from 0 to 12,000 feet in 2 seconds.
And he's flying one of the most advanced machines we have, the U.S. government has, one of the most advanced air forces in the world, and he could barely keep up with this thing. David?
What I wanted to ask you guys was, if you saw something like that, this guy saw something like that,
right?
Why doesn't everyone in the world know about it? Why isn't it?
That's
a big
my
story?
point. He's working for the U.S. government. The U.S. government clamps down. He's a pilot working for the Air Force. They tell him your report comes to us. You don't tell anybody else,
right? But it's it's public access now.
It's only public access after this program is gone. The program ended November 2017. Now, all of a sudden, December, the guy comes out.
The video is from 10 years ago.
Right.
So wouldn't somebody be investigating this, following up on it? I mean, what's happening now?
Who's to say that this gentleman's video of what he saw and his buddies, because they said there's a bunch of pilots out there that saw this, didn't cause the inspiration, if you will, for the U.S. government to start this advanced aerospace threat program to begin in 2012? To say, this is a piece of the puzzle. What's going on? There is stuff out there that we're not understanding. It could be another country. It could be something else. What's up? the thing that upsets me is this program is existed for 5 years. We have never heard a dime, one piece of any information about what they've done, except for now when the program's over, the leader, the head, who's now been fired or let go of the government, now says, all right, now I'll tell you what's going on. How many programs are there in our U.S. government that we have no idea exist and have never found out any information about?
93.
This is what I'm saying. That's why we have him on the air, Dr. John Viviani. This is the thing. It bothers me that that it's. I mean, when you see CNN reporters talked about this, what is their attitude? I mean, give me an idea. You've seen Don Lemon and all these people.
Yeah, well, they're getting better. They're still a little like, oh, are we going to see little green men? Or they're kind of scoffing at it. But the Leslie made a good point. She goes, well, we've been looking into these sightings since the 50s when we didn't have anything near this technology. So to say that it's something from another country now, where we're saying compared to what the reports were back in, we didn't have anything like that in the 40s and 50s when these reports, we don't have the high-tech video of it, but there were reports of it. So it's been around a long time.
So what are we to think of this, David Cohen?
I want to know where the follow-up is. Like, what's next? Now that this gentleman has spoken out, where do we go from here?
I think... you trust the government to come out and tell you?
Why does it have to be the government? Why can't
That's
it be...
the killer. When these guys are out of business, when they no longer work for the government, when they're no longer a pilot, then they release the information and they lose. And for some reason, now they've lost their credibility. He's no longer a pilot, this guy, let's say, right? Now he presents his information because he's no longer a pilot. And this guy, Luis Elizondo, is no longer the head of this program. Now, for some reason, the press, kind of give them the short, what do you call that?
On the other hand,
drift.
Okay, but on the other side, let's just flip the other side of the coin, right? If there was anything there, this is way too big of a thing to have this complete conspiracy covering all possible leaks, such a perfect cover-up. It just, to me, that seems impossible.
No, there's nothing. I think it's stupidity, and I think it's just a matter of, oh my goodness, like the doctor says, they've all of a sudden released this. This is who's this guy? I would not be surprised if Luis Elizondo either disappears or all of a sudden starts working for the government again. They put a clamp on him. You don't hear from him ever again.
Well, they do have these non-disclosure clauses when you work on these projects. You're not allowed to talk to, discuss.
So what happened to his? So that means he's
I don't know.
He says, I'm not talking to the government, but I think we've got...
Yeah, that's why he said it's not the official policy.
Yeah, big surprise. Big surprise,
so
right?
There is no official policy. What is it that we don't? They're barely existing. Admitted the program existed.
There is no statement whatsoever. We're not getting statements at all, except for through the press that
because there may not be anything there.
Well, then
I saw the video.
Then why don't they come out and say we did X number of findings for 5 years and we don't think there's anything there? They don't even say that.
They should say something. Yeah.
Right. When we come back, we're going to talk about if this is real, why are these other civilizations not actually talking to us, contacting us, landing on the White House, lawn, whatever. Let's find out what's going on with that. The Good Doctor, everything old is new again here. And we're talking UFOs. We'll be back with Dr. Viviani. Of course, David Cohen.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Lord, they're turning into flames. The whole field's caught up by the woods of fires. The gas tanks of the automobiles spreading everywhere. It's coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Wow, that's Everything Old is New Again, listening and peering into either the future or the past, or is it fiction with respect to the War of the Worlds, talking about UFOs. We're here with David Cohen, the rather inquisitive but spirited and, what would you say, skeptical David Cohen.
Yes.
And that's good. There's nothing wrong with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yes, there is nothing wrong with it.
And then there is also the other side of the spectrum is ufologist extraordinaire. Dr. John Viviani is giving us his point of view.
Credentials onto his name. ufologist extraordinaire.
Oh, yeah, it's coming around. Don't worry. He's proving himself more and more as the show goes along. So
in a lot of ways,
yes. So now
we're talking about him like he's not sitting right next to us. Isn't that
Doctor,
nice?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Don't sound so excited. Now,
so honored to be the official ufologist
Of anything.
EONA.
That's right.
EONA.
That's
Everything
right.
old is new.
All right, now I want to take a look at. Turn the page a little bit here and take a look at the UFO that was seen over Russia disappearing on camera. We have seen this, and
we went into some other.
Yes,
craft.
let's listen to it, and we'll see if we can make heads or tails out of this.
A bizarre video which purports to show a UFO disappearing inside another before they both vanished has left viewers scratching their heads. An unidentified flying object was seen floating above houses. It had many lights, and also a vapor trail. At the end of a short video, a diamond-shaped brightly illuminated window opens up above the flying object, which disappears into it.
David Cohen, you've seen this. Can you describe this for our audience?
Yeah, it looks like a doctored video of.
Without the.
I'm describing it.
I don't need the what would you say? The opinion. Just show me the facts.
Okay, so it's this like multicolored, multi-lighted, hovering craft. Right. First of all, it's at night. Okay, so you just see the lights, and what happens is there's this triangular opening in the sky of bright light, and the thing with the lights goes into that triangular light, and then the triangular light closes down and into complete darkness. So it appears that one ship went up into some other ship.
Exactly. It's an amazing...
Was that a good description?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Amazing video that, if legitimate, is of concern. You're putting some doubt on that, like you don't really feel that that's legitimate, and that's understandable. Doctor, what's your research show?
Inconclusive. It could very well be, Doctor, but because I'm a little skeptical of these videos that are so crystal clear. You know, it says, it's got to be. It just looks too good.
All right, so there we've got.
It's amazing, right? Because it's like if it's grainy, it's like that could be anything. But if it's not, if it's then it can be too
because
clear.
with today's technology, they can do anything on a computer.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you feel that that's not such a good one. Good. And so that lends credibility to the doctor, to everything old is new again, to show we're not just saying that we're UFO crazed and believe the UFO fantasy. If it's that a sight unseen, what we want to do is get to the truth of this. I was talking to David Cohen off the air a few minutes, and he had a concern, and you had some people feeding back saying that they did not believe that there was a conspiracy per se in this regard.
Right. The government in no way or shape or form could conduct such a tightly sealed conspiracy over something that happened, meaning that they made contact or they found some proof that there's some alien life out there. There's just the government can't really do anything that great, especially so the one thing that they can do is going to be a cover-up of UFOs.
Well, they couldn't cover up the assassination and who killed John F. Kennedy,
I could tell you this,
Doctor.
I've heard interviews with this ex-CIA agent. He's in his 80s now, and he was talking about he worked in Roswell, in Area 51 originally, from the beginning. And he had to, they would bus him in there or fly him in there for a week at a time. He'd only get to go home on weekends. He couldn't tell his wife until a couple of years ago what he was even doing there. This is from the 50s and 60s. They were under such secrecy. He was an engineer, and he was telling stuff about what he saw and what he did. And even then, he went to Langley he went on a tour, CIA tour, and there were some photographs that he had, and he has them in his living room now. If he put the photographs up while he was still working there, he could have been tried for treason.
So that's the thing.
It's now he can say certain things
because he's no longer associated,
right? And even the tour guides at Langley didn't know half the stuff that this guy knows, and they're like, "Tell us more, tell us more." So they do keep a lot of secrets.
Here's the thing: there is an understanding or thought that this is what bothers me, that when that gentleman, whatever his name is, we've got to look that up, leaves that facility, now he's lost his credibility because no longer can go into that facility. That's number one. Number two, I don't think the U.S. government is as smart as any of us think they are. I don't think that they know what that video showed that we showed last, and that's on YouTube showing the F-18. I don't think that they actually have made a conclusion, and I think if they don't make a conclusion, if they don't see DNA, so to speak, from a UFO, that they're going to actually say, hey, that was a UFO, which I understand. My problem is not releasing that to us to let us decide. Does that make any sense?
No, they are hiding. That program, so part of that program said that they were keeping these alloys that they tested that they said couldn't come from Earth, and they're having them somewhere, but they don't know. They're not releasing where that is.
Well, I would love to hear about the alloys because that is very interesting.
This is too big a story for me to believe that they are not releasing information, or somebody within the government is not releasing.
Here's the thing: nobody apparently to really know what really goes on. I heard is like 8-9 steps above security clearance, above the president even, and even according to this gentleman who worked at the CIA, it's so compartmentalized that you're on a project and you're doing X. Okay, you don't know what Y and Z is, and so forth and so on. So you may only know certain things your whole career. Boom.
You only know one piece of the pie.
One piece of the puzzle. Only very few people at the high end of the food chain know the whole story of whatever the story is.
So that goes along with what I say. I just don't think that a conspiracy. I just don't think they know.
They don't.
And they're not going to. They're not going to make it. They're not going to say we think there's UFOs. They're not going to do it till there's actual proof.
Only the top of the food chain knows whatever they know. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there is such a thing as an alien presence in our sphere, or even coming and taking a look, why are they not interested in us? Let's listen to Dr. Keku again, our source on this, and let's see what he has to say about this, and we'll discuss.
So we have to open our mind to the possibility that they're not just a super version of us, that they could be thousands, millions of years more advanced. My point of view is if you're walking on a country road in St. Anthill, do you go down to the ants and say, I bring you trinkets, I bring you beads, I give you nuclear energy, or perhaps maybe you step on a few of them. If they're that advanced, maybe they simply are not that interested in us.
If they're that advanced, maybe they're simply not that interested in us, and that's why they're just floating around, taking a look, and moving on. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I'm not even that interested in us. So why would someone else from another world be interested in us?
We're not that interesting as species.
That. What are we doing here that's so fascinating?
I'll tell you one thing that would be, if it did come out like that there was contact and the world knew that there was other worlds, it would bring a sense of humility to us, I think, because I think we think we think we're too much. We think we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
So there's a lot of people like, oh, can't be this, can't be that, because we're so smart, we're this, that. We're really not that good.
Right. I agree with that 100%. We also have this impression that the government all of a sudden is so smart that we're not. If that make any sense, or has?
I don't think we do. I mean, you addressed that before.
Yeah,
that, they're just not.
No, that's not us. But I'm saying is, generally speaking,
right.
people just look to this government like it's better. It's just people. It's just other people, and we're all what I mean. We're all not perfect.
Right.
My point of view on this is agrees with him. Listen, if they're interested, they're like we'll walk into a picnic and seeing the ants, and the ants see us. We don't care.
But I don't take it that far. I think they would be interested, because I actually believe that they've been here thousands of years and may even had something to do with our progress here and there. Giving us information here and there. But they're not. Let me put it this way: if they meant us ill, we would have been wiped out already. So right. I think they're just kind of like letting us go on our free will, but maybe helping us a little bit here and there. They're not. I don't think they're here for. If they
you
are,
think
here,
they had the Prime Directive?
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much.
Prime Directive in Star Trek is, of course, a Star Trek reference, and
is to leave civilizations alone, right?
Until they reach a certain level. Now that's artificially made for television, but they may have a level that we haven't reached yet, so they're not going to talk to us till we get to a certain technological advancement.
Because you got to imagine it's not just us and them, right? There's other intelligent life too that they're probably dealing with.
This is what I wanted to discuss. When we say UFOs, people tend to, and they say little green men or whatever, they tend to think one-dimensional, like, is only this one specific alien that may have came to visit. There could be, and if there is life out there, there should be many, many civilizations. We could have been visited by different types. And
we'll pick this up right after this and everything else. We'll get a hot commercial break. We'll be back. Dr. Viviani, UFO Extraordinaire, ufologist, I guess we'll say.
Ufologist.
Can't get it. Ufologist.
Until we change it again.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show. with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
There we go. That's Neil Armstrong, July 20th, 1969, a red-letter date. First man landing on the moon. Question is, when they were on the moon, Doctor, do you have any agreement with Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong allegedly stating that they had some interaction with UFOs or at least saw some alien presence reviewing and looking what they were doing?
Oh, well, I don't doubt that could have happened. Not at all.
Good.
60 seconds.
I saw this illumination that was moving with respect to the stars. We were smart enough to not say, Houston, there's a light out there that's following us. So technically it becomes an unidentified flying object.
While Neil and Buzz were on the lunar surface, Neil switched to the medical channel and spoke directly with the chief medical officer, saying, they're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us.
There you go. Now, that, of course, was a discussion from Buzz Aldrin, and thereafter a discussion about Neil Armstrong. Question is, Doctor, have you ever heard that? It's kind of new information from
No,
a
it's
special.
not new.
No.
It's new to the mainstream media. I've heard that.
Exactly. So now what do you think of that? I mean...
Was that both of those were Buzz Aldrin?
No, the second was a gentleman encapsulating what allegedly Neil Armstrong said. There's a lot of allegations there. Do you believe any of that? Where are we on this?
Why wouldn't I believe it? If they were being watched, and certainly they wouldn't say it on the main broadcast.
Right. So my point is that Buzz Aldrin has said in the past that he doesn't believe in UFOs, but says it's not impossible that there are aliens out there. And then he goes ahead and signs a contract to go on to Dancing with the Stars. And he dances with a young lady that is 60 years his, what would you say, younger, junior. And the poor guy, he left an impression that he tries hard, but he just can't do it. He cannot get...
I don't know where this is going.
My point
I feel
is...
like we're talking about a completely different subject.
I want to know why Buzz Aldrin doesn't have the credibility that he should have when he says what he just said about UFOs. Is it because of his public persona? Is it something else? This is the second man on the moon. He's saying, you heard
Well,
him.
who says he doesn't have credibility?
No one has given him any... He says that. Has anyone followed up? Said, Buzz Aldrin, did you really see a UFO? What's up? How come that story is laying there?
Why isn't he promoting that story more?
That's a good point. Is it
Maybe,
out of context? Is it legit? Is it not?
Maybe he was threatened not to talk.
I don't know. It's possible. Why wouldn't one of these guys write like a memoir then afterwards and say, "Release this when I pass away"?
Because they can hurt their family.
All right. Okay. I guess it's possible. I'm disturbed by it. I think Buzz Aldrin should have a lot of credibility.
It is weird. Yeah.
You know, I mean, he should be hugely credible.
Yeah, sure. One way or the other, he should have been questioned many times on it and clear the air, right?
Exactly. And he's getting older. The gentleman's in his late 80s. Come on, let's investigate this.
You know what? I think what it comes down to, in this age, maybe we're I don't know where we are in time, but the one point I just wanted to make here was that in this incredibly highly advanced technical age where we can recreate audible and visual video evidence, quote unquote, of anything and anyone saying anything happening, that I truly believe until we as a group have some real-time, real-life experience with an encounter, that this will never, ever be solved one way or another. There you go.
You needed to take 2 minutes to say that.
Yeah. Well, because...
No, that actually makes a lot of sense. That puts a good encapsulation of this.
Physical encounter that massive amounts of people are experiencing, this will never...
That won't happen.
Yeah. Why? Why not?
Because if it were going to happen, it would have happened already. It's more supposedly, from the stories I heard, that whatever contacts there are, they want to leave us pretty much alone. They don't want to turn our society upside down. If they came out and landed on the White House lawn, it would just disrupt everything. It's more behind the scenes.
I still believe it's this little by little.
Yeah, well, the government's going to let out disclosure little by little, supposedly.
The movies from the 50s started the ball rolling, and now we're advanced enough to the point of CNN is putting on a gentleman from the government showing video from a pilot showing that...
They can do anything. Doug, they could take you, right, put you on a live broadcast, okay, have you move just like you're moving right now, duplicate words that are coming out of your mouth that sound exactly like you do and can manipulate what you say to say anything that they want you to say, and it's incredibly believable, and yet it's completely fabricated.
But this guy on CNN wasn't fabricated. The guy we investigated.
But if they can do that, then they can manipulate anything. They can manipulate an audio interview. They can manipulate literally anything.
I gotta play this in response to that.
No way. That's great.
We landed on the moon! And that's Dumb and Dumber, that's Jim Carrey, and that's what I say to you to that response. No one did not make, that's way beyond what, there was a guy on CNN December 17th saying he was in charge of the U.S. government program and he believes it's possible that that we've been visited, and if not, there's alien life out there. And we've got you're saying that video from the pilot and the pilot talking we've had on the show right now is not legit?
Maybe it's not.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Along those lines, I will stop you only because of time. I want to talk about for a few moments, and it goes right along with what you're saying. Do you believe we landed on the moon?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's a healthy response. But, Doctor, you've heard this nonsense. I think nonsense. I shouldn't say that nonsense right off the bat, but that
nonsense.
It was a hoax. That one of the reasons the flag still moved for quite a while.
Oh, that's BS. That's because it was from the initial inertia after they planted the pole down. It had some energy left in it.
Exactly. There's no gravity. It just kept on going for a while. Footprints on the surface. They say they wouldn't have footprints because it's like a desert out there.
That's incorrect. You know what? Do you remember that show Mythbusters?
Yes.
They did a whole section on the if the moon landing was a hoax, and they debunked all of those points.
Exactly, because there's a response to that is that it's not like a desert. It's sandy, but it's not like a desert. And again, it has very, very little gravity, so those footprints are still there to this day. Then you've got, what about there's no stars in the background? Like you see a lot of the time they're on the moon and there's no stars. That's again been debunked by when you're in the city, New York City, where there's a lot of lights around, you don't always see the stars in the sky because it's an optical illusion. And finally, there's this statement that Neil Armstrong said something about this, that he didn't do any interviews because he never wanted to lie. I mean, this is the extent of this conspiracy theory. I think it's nonsense. If anyone out there thinks that there's any legitimacy to that whatsoever, I think you need to have your head examined. Honestly, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong,
David. I mean, we saw it. We saw it happen.
Right.
Why would they?
It makes no sense.
I don't want to give any credibility.
Why even would they do it? It makes no sense to even do that.
People have too much time in their hands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other conspiracies you can think about, and that's not one of them.
There are three conspiracies I want to talk about, or conversations of old mysteries that new information has come to light. The JFK assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald, I think he did it, but the question is why, and did he have any support? We'll investigate that. We also want to talk about hunting Hitler. This gentleman would not keep himself in a bunker at the end of World War II, and everyone knew... all right, I mean, I'm just saying...
Wait, are we doing this on this show?
We're doing this on the next show. I do not believe that he stayed there to kill himself, this evil son of a gun. He had other plans. And finally, Amelia Earhart. Did we find out what happened to her and her plane? Based on what our discussion is, Dr. Viviani, you've heard this new release of information, December 17th, 2017. Do you believe that this is going to change the way at least some Americans think about this UFO thought?
Not enough. Think about it. It's taken us the attitude in the 60s and 70s. If you said the letters UFO, you're a crackpot. Now it's a little bit more, well, maybe, but, give me proof. But they don't laugh you out to the insane asylum now. But I think it will take more than this one instance.
See, people don't listen to Buzz Aldrin because what he's saying is so spectacularly unbelievable and hard for people to get their minds around that they'd rather just not think about it.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a very good point. Here's the thing. What he said, if you listen clearly, is he almost put like the air quotes on, yes, it was a unidentified flying object. That does not lead then to the next
alien,
right. He just said we don't know what it was. Right.
Yeah.
So that's also something that the media or some people that are not really thinking a lot about this and they just hear it think UFO, that must be alien. I think you said this before. It could be an explanation, could be something else, could be time travelers, could be something.
P.S. Another thing about that report from the Pentagon, they said that there was 701. They did say there were 701 cases that they can't explain.
Right.
they just can't explain what it is. So, you can't make the leap, but you can't say, oh, it's this or it's that.
All right. On that, we will have to come up with some more information. Maybe 6 months from now, we're driving this conversation. Everything old is new again is at the forefront. We're pushing CNN. We're pushing the U.S. government. We're here for you, for me, for everyone to find out what our dollars are being spent on, and if it's being spent on UFO information investigation. I want to know the results.
So. Okay, well, that's a different theme to the show that I signed up for. You want to know where our tax dollars go? This is like a
no. I don't want to forget the tax dollars.
Show?
I want to know the results. That's all. Like this fellow Luis was talking about. I want him to tell me what they found. Exactly.
Let's get him on the show.
Good idea. We'll be back. Everything we'll do again next week with the doctor, and we will try to. We'll call Luis. So let's call him at the break. He has a phone right here. David.
And I want to see you get riled up with Luis, like you did with us.
I will.
Luis, where's that?